So this is the July 12th Kubernetes SIG CLI biweekly meeting. I'm Sean Sullivan, I'm your host. Why don't we go directly into the announcements? And the first is that the release code freeze is coming up very soon. It's going to be next Tuesday, 6 p.m. Pacific time. I think it's about midnight or 1 a.m. European time. Western European time. So we've got a couple days to finish. And then it'll be about a month or 4 weeks afterwards that the release will be cut it's scheduled for August 15th. So does anybody else have any other announcements? That's the only announcement we have on the agenda. Okay, if you need any of the reviewers or approvers for this code freeze, please reach out to us. Probably through Slack would be best. Again, that's happening this coming up Tuesday in about a week. So this is the part of the meeting where we get to meet new members. So if you're new to SIG CLI or you haven't been here for a while, this is an opportunity to network with your colleagues. So if you'd like to introduce yourself, please go ahead. And if you don't want to, it's completely voluntary. Then sure, no problem. Is there anyone who'd like to introduce themselves? Okay, why don't we move on to the next section, which is the KEP updates and the subproject updates. I put a link in for the WebSocket transition KEP. That actually is scheduled to have alpha submitted by this coming up code freeze. I've been in contact, the person that I've been in contact mostly with is Antonio Ojea, who works with SIG API machinery and SIG networking. And it's touch and go whether or not this will make alpha, this particular release. But I will show this particular tab. This is the KEP transitioning from Speedy to WebSockets. And for those of you who aren't familiar with it, since we've got plenty of time, I think, for this meeting, I'll just give a quick overview, which is that there's some kube control commands which upgrade the connection from HTTP to a bidirectional streaming protocol. Kube control exec, kube control copy, attach, and port forward use Speedy bidirectional streaming protocol, but that's been deprecated for 8 years. And so for quite a long time now, Kubernetes has been trying to upgrade that to the more modern WebSockets. And so this is part of that effort. And does anybody have any questions before we go on to subproject updates? Okay, let me go back to this. Okay, so I think that we're at the point where we're going to go into the agenda items, unless anybody would like to do a subproject update. Okay, so the item that's on the agenda, let me open that up. It sounded like it was, this is to deprecate the usage of no opt def value, which means that the equal between the key and the value in a flag, or in an argument, or a flag, sorry, can be missing, which causes quite a bit of confusion in some cases. I think that this particular issue falls clearly in the category of things which make sense, but which are probably really, really difficult to change because people are depending on them. But there's a couple people who would like to work on this, and they want feedback from the SIG Ricardo, it doesn't sound like was able to, oh, cool, Ricardo's here. Ricardo, do you want to, I know that Varsha's here as well. Would you guys like to take it over now?
Yeah, sure. I can. If Varsha doesn't want, I can just go. So
Yep.
this is an issue that I figured out. So, someone that was learning Kubernetes actually asked me like, "Hey, why can I use equal in some places and I cannot use equal in other places?" Or why this happens? And I have decided to dig that and figured out this kind of problem. Honestly, it does make sense to me, the approach that was taken. I think Antoine actually jump into the issue as well and say, hey, I did this and I know the feeling. But my proposal is that we have some sort of well-defined behavior from now on. And like if a flag should be a boolean, it is a boolean. If a flag should be a string, it should be a string. And we don't have this middle path where you may have a boolean which is a string. Because I think that overall, in a long term, for people starting to use that, and even I keep doing this kind of mistakes myself sometimes. We'll have some sort of well-defined behavior. I'm not sure if everyone understood the problem here, but no up-def vol is like if you pass a flag but you don't pass a value on a string flag, it's gonna assume that there is a default value. So as an example, if you try to do dash dash validate strict, it's gonna use the validate which is not strict, and it's gonna create a deployment to the name strict, right? So that's the proposal. I have no idea, to be honest, on how to start that. I think that we wanted at least to bring this to the SIG to know if it does make sense to raise a cap before starting them, and people saying, yeah, it doesn't make sense. And I know that this is going to probably take some time, as any cap, right? But at least I think it would be good that everyone was aware of this kind of behavior.
So in general, I'm very supportive of the idea. I was actually meant to comment on your initial proposal that you posted on Twitter even before the issue was open, but I just somehow forgot. I'm sorry about that. The issue that I see currently, at least, is the places where we rely on that kind of behavior, especially the dry run, because it has a double meaning. And if I remember correctly, Antoine at some point in time was inclined to drop the double meaning because if you're not aware, dry run allows you to be both a string and a Boolean flag. And there was a PR to drop and only switch to the string value, because you can, between dry run, you can pick between the server client and none. But for backwards compatibility, we have to support the true false. If we can initially support the previous behavior and figure out a path towards with those few places where this is a problem, that would be probably the initial step for the cap. And on top of that, what we can do already is probably write a very simple verification script that will ensure that no new commands with this particular change are being added, or that nobody will try to modify and set that flag anywhere else in the kubectl code, with just those few exceptions that we are explicitly aware of, and we will try to figure out a way out of that situation. That would be my proposed approach, and I'll let others speak.
So there's a couple of hands. I think Varsho is first. Would you like to go?
Yeah, so this is just a question because this kind of behavior, apart from dry run and validate, it also occurs in other places like kubectl config, especially the the supposedly Boolean flags like in secure skip TLS verify. And looking at the code, it looks like it's considered a string, and we literally set the default value to be false, and then we set the no op default value to be true in case the flag is not present. So I just wanted to know if there was a specific reason in doing that. Why not straight away declare that as a Boolean and have a default value instead of having a hidden value when the flag is not set?
Probably some I'm guessing, sorry, Sean. I'm guessing that some of those instances will be for historical reasons. Either nobody checked that there is a Boolean, or there were some odd instances. I don't think we can have a rule to set for everything. We'll most likely have to dig through a Git history of any particular command and ensure that we don't break anyone with those. So yeah, I'm fully aware that that's not the kind of response you were looking for, but it will be case by case in most in those few instances. But if there is a simple replacement that we can do, then just go ahead, I guess.
Did that answer your question, Varsha?
Yes, that answered my question. Thanks, Madhu.
So Eddie has his hand up.
Yeah, I this is the first time I'm seeing this issue. Sorry. I'm looking at where we use it, and after reading the pflag docs, it makes sense why we did it that way. And I see that, yeah, this is messy and tricky. Where did people actually get bit by this?
Ricardo had an example. Sean, can you scroll a little bit up? There was an explicit example with strict and validate. Oh yeah, so that's one example. If you try something like that, you're actually not going to validate with strict, but the strict will be picked by the name of the deployment, and validate will pick the default value.
Really?
So yeah, that's the working of that flag. It's a little bit messy.
The default value is strict. The no option default value is also strict. So what am I missing?
If you try to create the non-default value, Eddie, like I can't remember which one was the other one, like dash validate space whatever, it's not strict. The deployment is going to be created with validate strict, and the name is going to be whatever you try to use as a flag.
I see. Yeah, this is definitely a bug then, right? This is a pflag Cobra bug?
So I was looking into the pflag code, and the problem is that there is no way to know when you are passing a flag or an argument without using the equal name in this case, specifically in this case when we use the no op that flow. So that's why this is the only flag, this is the only kind of flag that you should be using the equal, right? And the confusion is because we allow people using equal or space to separate flags and arguments when you are using string flags. It kind of confuses, because on dry run you should use equal sign, but like let's say on the dash image, because there is no default value, you shouldn't be using equal. You can use space as an example. So that's kind of a bad user experience.
Yeah, this is definitely a foot gun. That sucks. Okay. And sorry, I'm just catching up. Did you have a proposed fix?
No, because as I could see on Flag, there is no easy fix, right? So that's why I have raised this issue and the discussion to actually to stop using this no op that role. So you should not you should know which value you want to pass to a string flag if you pass it, right? So, but that's like a long term fix that we kind of just raise it to see what the SIG thinks on that and really start working on a CAD for that.
Yeah, we should definitely add a lint rule to not allow future PRs to add this in. Okay, thank you. I understand the problem.
And the rule can be added rather quickly, even already in 128, and the rest will probably take a little bit longer to figure out the path forward. But having the linting right away would be definitely very, very reasonable, so that we don't add problems to the already existing bucket.
Yeah, we should also raise this on KDev and make sure other people are aware of this. Like this is a spooky foot gun that I didn't know existed. I wonder if we can get Mark to come to a call to discuss it too. Like this violates the Unix philosophy of command line args.
Mark was actually commenting on the issue that he considered that a bug in Cobra.
Yeah, I see.
Or
then
maybe
he
not.
said, I don't think Cobra could do much better though.
Yeah, I didn't read entirely the entire thread, but yeah.
Yeah, there should be no semantic difference between an equal and not an equal. This is, yeah. Have we seen this before? Is there any history around this? There's one issue from 2018. It's talking about Cascade. And it looks like it got Feta bot closed, which shouldn't happen anymore on our repos. There is a P flag issue that's old. Looks like it was closed and not merged. It was closed with the intent to come up with a better strategy. 2017. All right. Or this is something different. What is this?
Is pflag being maintained there? Because I have just jumped into the repo. There is no commit since 2021.
I know that McBride is maintaining Cobra. I don't know if he actually still is.
I think based on his recent comments when he left AWS, the new place still allows him to work in Cobra to a certain degree, but I think he's currently on a holidays, so probably, yeah, it just happened that we're not in the middle of many people holidays, so yeah, definitely worth reaching out to him. I doubt we'll be able to quickly resolve this, and checking all the possible venues before fixing is probably a worthy goal.
Yeah, I guess it's a breaking change no matter what, right? For people expecting the behavior either way.
Yeah, unfortunately.
This is a good one that we should run by Jordan. Jordan always has really good ideas in these situations.
I mean, I would probably start with write down all the possibilities that we have. And once we have the possibilities, all the pros and cons, write it down as a cap, and then we can pull in Jordan.
Okay.
No matter what, having the initial homework done before pulling in Jordan will be required. I don't want to throw at him a problem that without possible approaches. Even if he comes up with entirely different idea than ours, at least consider options that we have.
Ricardo and Varsha, how do you feel about writing all this down in the cap?
I was just asking Varsha on Slack if she's comfortable with taking care on this, and I can just keep helping. So, Varsha.
Yeah, I can write down a cap for this. And for the linter, 1.28 is the deadline is next week, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
18th
very
or
soon.
19th. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we should try to get in before then, but we can definitely get a linter rule in past release.
Okay. That's fine.
I think you're muted, Sean.
Sounds like we have a plan and some action items. Do we feel like we've, is there anything else to cover on this issue? If not, we'll move to Eddie with the KubeCon announcement.
Varsha and Ricardo, thank you all for taking
Yeah.
drive in this one. Appreciate it. This is definitely going to be a tricky, hairy situation that there's no clear answer for. So appreciate y'all's work.
I'm here for the fun.
For KubeCon 2023, we have our maintainer track submission due on Sunday. So we started a draft of a simple maintainer talk. We're going buzzwordy and asking, the title is something like, what's new with Kube Control and Customize? Which we had 50 people at our maintainer session last time, so hopefully we can get more. That's rad. I guess my question for the group here is, are there any topics, any keps, any work that you think we should highlight in this talk or in the submission? And so that's for the maintainer track talk. And then we also have the option to do a 1-minute video update from our SIG again for the KubeCon keynotes. So Marley and I did this for, what was the last one we did? Was that EU? I think it was EU.
Yeah, EU.
Yep.
Yeah, and it was rad. Like it was so cool to have like our little video slot in front of the entire room of just like talking about the work and telling people to come hang out and help. So I think we should definitely double down and make it even better for next year. So start brainstorming things that we can highlight, work that was done by y'all or other people, and we can get those in a CFP and the video highlight. So does anyone have thoughts off the top of that? Also, who is planning to attend KubeCon Chicago? I think it's in November. I can't see all the hands. Put a yes in chat or something. Cool. Yeah, I know. We need the budgeting world for travel is still squeezed, huh? Okay. Oh, are they? Damn. Okay. So any things that come to mind that you want to bring up or discuss around topics or caps or work that was done? Let's see. What if we what caps did we get into? 127?
For 128, we pushed the events to GA and the interactive delete. That was released as alpha. I can't remember what we did for 127. That was like ages ago.
Yeah. And you said events moved to beta. Is that what it was?
Events GA.
Events GA. Nice.
Events GA. A lot will depend on how far Sean will go with Speedy, but that's to be decided. And either way, by Chicago, for which will be in November, will probably be further ahead. Either way, because that's like in 4 months. So, that's like whatever we will say today will be history in November.
126 came out when?
End of last year.
So that was
December?
already covered for Europe, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
127 was post Europe because that was end of May
Okay.
or end of hold on. Or we released 127 before EU? Oh yeah, Arda is just pointing out good examples. The apply sets that Katrina was working for apply prune and the create subcommand funding resolution. I'm pretty sure that we can cover both of these topics easily.
Nice.
So yeah, if you have any suggestions or any additional proposals that we should cover during that presentation, just ping either of the leads on the SIG CLI channel. That's probably the best option. No matter what we will write in the CFP submission, the actual presentation will be prepared towards the week before or the week when we will be doing the presentation.
Yeah. And the deadline for that video is August, right?
Yeah, for that one, the deadline is a little bit shorter.
Let me get that exact date. Hold on. Deadline for the video is August 10th. Thursday, August 10th. Here's the announcement for that. Okay. We still have some time. Cool. Any other thoughts around KubeCon US Chicago? Okay.
Okay, thanks for all that feedback. It'll be nice to see folks in person for those of us who are able to get the companies to pay for get the travel budget. It seems like that's a big question for a lot of people, myself included. So that looks like we've covered all of the items on the agenda. Is there anything else last minute that we want to bring up and talk about before we close this? Okay, we canceled the two previous meetings, and seems like we've covered the topics that we wanted to cover this time. So we're going to end that. It's good to see everybody, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks. Good luck on the code freeze.